Well, I know a lot of you aren't interested in this, but I'm trying to learn how to use the Zoom, and this is as good a way to practice as any. What I'm going to try to show you today is a little quick tour of the Paris area. The Paris area is one of the best built-up areas on Microsoft Simulator as far as the amount of scenery that has been put together. As far as the simulator goes, not all cities are built up. If I were to try to fly around Dallas, you wouldn't even recognize it because they have old, what do they call it, big map pictures of Dallas that go back many, many years, and they haven't updated them. So that what they did for Dallas is just block buildings where buildings should be and not anything at all like what Dallas looks like. As the years go by, individual contractors as well as Microsoft will will add that as a scenery that you can buy. But for right now, I bought a couple extra scenery packs for the Paris area, and I'm going to give you a quick tour. And I'm going to do it at a little faster speed. I'm just going to let the plane fly as pretty much as fast as it can, and try to not make it so boring. Where we are right now, I'll be starting the simulator in a second. This is the Palace of Versailles. These are the gardens around it. And it's about, I don't know, 20, 30 miles from Paris and itself. So it's not right in the Paris area. You can see the Eiffel Tower way up here where my mouse is. So we're that far away from the city. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this right now. And try to take you on a tour of the palace. It's a pretty big place. I'm going to zoom around here to this far side and come up the lake, or not the lake, but the lagoon that shows the whole area, this thing off to the right. And we're doing like 100 knots right now. Before we were doing 50 to 60, so this will go a lot quicker. Anyway, let's zoom back in and take a shot from this area. Right down the gardens. Get that a little closer. All right, so you can see it's quite a big place. Now we're going to head on over to Paris. This is a pretty built up area, even though it's on the outskirts. And what we'll do is we'll pick up the Seine and go down and hit right around the Eiffel Tower first. Scoot on down to Les Invalides, which is where Napoleon is born, we're buried, and then down to Notre Dame, over to Sacred Heart Basilica, which is the highest point of Paris. Then back down toward let's see, when we back down toward Notre Dame again, then up past the Louvre, up the Champs-Elysees to the Arc de Triomphe, and scoot back to the Seine and come down by the Eiffel Tower again, and maybe pretty much call it quits there. As you can see, the business district is well off to the left, and the area where all the touristas are is where the Eiffel Tower is, just in front of us and slightly to the left. We're about 1,300 feet. I'll take it down a little lower when we get in there quicker now. But as I was talking about the scenery, Microsoft Flight Simulator is a work in progress. They released it early so that they could get it on the market. And even though they've got the cities mapped out, they're not mapped out precisely. In other words, they looked at the satellite images and they put buildings where buildings should be, but they're not necessarily the exact replica of the building that you see on the photo. And as time goes by, they add more and more uh, refinement to where you get scenery like you're seeing coming up now, where every building, or not every, but most buildings actually are a complete representation of what they look like in real life, located in exactly the same spot that they should be. And it gets to be pretty realistic. I mean, some of the buildings are unbelievably true to life. Okay, this is the Seine. We're going to come in a little lower down the Seine to the Eiffel Tower, which you see off to your upper left. One thing that you can do in Paris that's really fun is they have these boats, dining boats, where you actually sit on the deck of a flat decked boat. And it's full white tablecloth service and wine and everything else. And you sail all the way around the Seine, past the Eiffel Tower, past Notre Dame, and it's at night, and it's really quite interesting. I took my daughter there when we came. She was only 12 years old, and they offered her wine with her meal, and I thought she was going to faint. Actually, we let her take a sip of it. She didn't like it. Okay, so we're coming up on the Eiffel Tower. As you can see, it's up ahead. And if you were to take the dining tour, I think it starts from right around here. You board the boats and then they come just like we're flying. We're 300 feet now. There's no autopilot on this plane, so it gets kind of tiring after a while, but we'll make it a short flight. And this is what it looks like from the cockpit. So you can see the Eiffel Tower is really, when you first come here, you're amazed at how big it is. I didn't expect it to be anywhere near that size. So we'll scoot right here, go this way. And if you see that dome right ahead of us right now, this is called the Les Valides or something like that. And that's the military academy right there to the right. But this is where Napoleon is buried. Les Invalides, I think it's actually called. And inside there, you can actually visit his tomb. And then if you continue back over to the Seine again, what you see ahead of us is the actual where the Louvre is, the Louvre, the museum. And we'll fly back over that coming north again, but we're going to go down the Seine to Notre Dame right now. And as I say, that's the Louvre right there off to our left. I'll take the cockpit view just to show you again. And this little island, Notre Dame, is on this right part of the island. You can see it coming up. They had a fire there, recently that it doesn't exactly look like that now, but that's where Notre Dame is. And if we zoom out to the west, or I guess that's more to the east, we'll go to the highest part of Paris, which is where the Basilica of the Sacred Heart is. It's quite an interesting looking building. It's a big white building that you see off in the distance. Looks like a kind of like an Arabian architecture of some kind. And again, you can tour inside there. It sits up on a hill. It's quite a steep hill. The hardest part about the trip here was the tour buses stopped at the bottom of the hill, and we had to climb that hill. And man, I tell you, we were huffing and puffing by the time we got there. Over here is one of the train stations. I'm not sure which one this is. Yeah, I'm guessing it's south, but I don't know. Or Sud, as they say, Sud being French for south. But at any rate, there's another one here. The subway system here is amazing. You can get anywhere you want very quickly. Okay, and here's that hill that I talked to you about. It really is quite steep to climb that hill. Come back and take another pass at it coming this way. A little higher. Well, we're actually wound up right over top of it. I didn't mean to do that. Kind of lost track of it. Anyway, let's go back and hit it from a different angle. There you go. You can see it now. Okay. And now back. And we'll pick up the Seine again. Right over Notre Dame from this angle. Okay, and as I showed you before, this brown looking building here is the Louvre. There's a big triangle in the courtyard. You'll see it when we fly over it. And the actual art, the Mona Lisa, is just off to your left in this building right by our wing. And this is the Garden of Tuileries, I think. Le Jardin de Tuileries. They have one of those Ferris wheels that you can ride. And this is the Place de la Concorde with that obelisk sitting there. So this depiction isn't as good as it could be. And what we're flying up now is the Champs-Élysées. It's the main drag of the highfalutin area. And at the end of the Champs-Élysées is the Arc de Triomphe, as you can see up there, which is, again, it surprises you how big it is. Also, the famous nightclub called the Lido, where they had the topless dancers back in the years that I was here. Quite shocking. It actually looks like a storefront, and it's almost to the end of this road, right in here to your right, inside of one of those buildings. is this famous nightclub. Now, the Arc de Triomphe, you can actually go up to the top of it and take the elevator, and there's a big roof area where you can sit there and see all the sights of Paris from there too. Now, if I can find it, up here somewhere is where they play the French Open tennis tournament. I think it's in this park. I never went to it, but I think it's somewhere around here. I could be wrong. I always thought it was over here. They have a lot of really weird architecture in Paris. See if you see any stadiums. No, I guess this isn't the park. I thought it was, but I guess not. It's right around here somewhere. I know that. Anyway, let's see if we can find it. As you can see, Paris is quite spread out. Get up a little higher where I can see better, but there's a couple of two stadiums. There's a football stadium, and then there's the tennis stadiums for the tournament. And I would have sworn it was in that park, but I guess not. It's over this way. Nope, that's not it either. Well, sorry. Like I say, I'd never actually been there, so I don't. There's a lot of tennis courts there, but that's not it. Oh well, so let me try. At any rate, we'll end it right here because I don't want to bore you too much. But the rest is a beautiful city if it wasn't for the Frenchmen. Okay, I'm going to sign off right here. And thank you for watching. It was a pretty bad tour, but at least you get some idea of Paris.